Elevated Grapes Podcast.
Elevated Grapes Podcast.
With your host, Sethi.
Your host, Sethi.
And Stylist Rashi Bindra.
It's time to get started.
Let's talk fashion, shall we?
All right, guys, so welcome to another episode of the Elevated Grapes Podcast. We're lucky enough today to have with us Mr. Kaizen.
Hello, hello.
You actually said his name right. I'm so proud of you.
You know what? I think I've butchered it in so many ways. Mr. Kaizen, Mr. Kaizen.
I think I've threatened you a couple of times.
Yeah. There's a couple of threats in there, but it's okay. After those couple of threats, I figured out how to say it properly. So he's one of the top designers in the city. Really influential in the fashion industry. Brings a lot of interesting sort of prospect to the way fashion should be set up for gentlemen. Mm-hmm. So I'll let you give an introduction to the company because I think I might butcher it a little bit more, just like your name. So I'd rather you you sort of bring that out for us.
Well, the Mr. Kaizen brand, I like to call it. It's not necessarily a clothing brand. It's more of a lifestyle brand. The idea behind it was to help men be better from the inside out, and the clothing is the end product of feeling better about yourself and what you do and how you do it.
Right.
Presentation is big, and a lot of people downplay presentation, but I always believe it's a bit better to be seen as a prospect than a suspect.
Oh, wow.
I like that.
That's a really interesting motto.
And a lot of guys run around looking like suspects. Because we've become this comfortable culture where the rags that Kanye makes sell more than a proper made suit, which makes no sense to me. It literally fries my brain when I see that. So I think the way a gentleman presents themselves is important. And I'm not saying everybody has to run around looking like an executive or a banker, but there should be a certain elegance to the way you dress. Absolutely. That raises how people see you, and when they see you, they automatically want to respect you. And as humans, we're very visual creatures. And I think what you present is how people start digesting you. And you give them negative messaging, that's how they start perceiving you. Then it just makes proving yourself a little bit harder. So that was the main concept. I got tired of seeing the same old, and mediocrity becoming acceptable. So thus was born the Mr. Kaizen brand, not only to elevate the way we perceive ourselves, but the way we present ourselves as men.
So as you mentioned, one of the things was that it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're dressing like a corporate banker or a lawyer. So what does it mean to you for someone to be presenting themselves properly?
First thing is there shouldn't be holes in your clothes.
So let's talk about that for a second. From a casual jean perspective, or if you're not a fan of that at all. Okay.
That's my response.
Yeah. There's a response.
And again, everything has its season, and there's trends, and some things are very popular right now that suit certain people and what their lifestyle is. But as a general practice, no. When I see torn clothes, I think, okay, we need to get this repaired.
You got ripped off. You didn't put all your fabric. Yeah.
So it's about it's about presentation, and some things look cool and they're trendy. And if you're performing on a stage, great. But walking around in everyday life, I don't see how it's practical. And a lot of stuff I see, I'm just like, why?
and there's one thing that you mentioned, the whole like Kanye look, basically. So when that whole trend or generation I guess started, and I'm with you on that. Like, I don't understand how men can dress like that. No. Like, it's so unattractive. Like, you look like you are a teenager.
Thank you very much.
I don't even want that anymore.
So sorry, we're just to cut in. We're talking about like the flowing rags, you look self-draping. That look.
The holes that look like you just got attacked by wolves and you escaped, and you roll down a hill and boom.
So now what we're gonna do is, so I'm just talking to the videographer real quick. When we're putting this on YouTube, let's just put a picture of Kanye in a ragged outfit, just so we can reference what we're talking. No, nothing against Kanye and his art. We're talking about the style.
I mean, he's a multi-millionaire. He's done very well for himself. Right. He was able to convince people to buy torn clothes for excessive amounts of money, so he was doing something right. I'm just saying.
But I mean, again, like to that point, at that moment, we may have been doing something right, but we're now also, like you said, in a comfortable culture, and we are in a culture where it's about about the Instagram.
Yes.
It's about imitating versus trying to actually stand out.
Exactly.
Like, again, I personally don't care for Kim Kardashian,
right,
but she is popular all over the world, and again, she may be doing something right, but then now what message are they
it's all
giving
about messaging
to
and
society?
Who you want to emulate and what your contribution is. Is it negative? Is it positive? Is it detrimental to the youth that are coming behind you? I sounded so old by saying youth, but but really those are the terms I think of now. It's just everything you do should be about setting an example that is positive for what's behind you, and just some of the things I see in terms of presentation is just not positive. It's very, it's almost vulgar.
and you're right. Like, men have gotten lazy.
Oh jeez.
And I'm not gonna name names, but I like.
Please do. I'm joking. Don't.
One of my exes, let's just put it that way. One of my
if we're getting personal, you can name all the names you want.
One of my exes, every time we would go out to an event, I'm actually spending time saying that you have to dress like this, because I'm wearing this.
Right.
And then we we would show up, and he's like, oh, but I'm the only I'm the only guy here wearing a blazer. I'm like, yeah, but you're the only guy here who looks like handsome and good looking.
Which I never understood why.
Like, why do you want
the
to
best dressed guy in the room is somehow bad?
Yeah, like simple question: overdressed or underdressed?
And
always
overdressed.
Right?
I don't care what's happening.
Yeah,
because it's better they say he looked way too good for this event than did you know you were coming to this event?
Yeah.
There's just
roll out of bed,
positive.
buddy. Like, what just happened? So let's talk about that for a second, because I think. One of my key things is that style is subjective. I don't think there's a definitive way that this is style and that's not style.
It's not one size fits all for everybody, and it all depends on what your lifestyle is.
Exactly, and that's your personality, your lifestyle,
all of that. But even with that being said, there's certain I hate calling them rules because I don't see them as rules.
Right.
But there's a certain amount of self-respect that should go into how you present. So no, you don't have to be in a suit like me. I'm literally in a suit every day, or blazer, pants, some variation.
Yeah, you also have the blessing that that's your business. You have access.
But I think even for the average guy, depending on what you do, again, it's about presenting your best self. And I think if you move from that perspective, then it's about colors, it's about design, it's about style that makes it your own. Too many people, especially now, guys think jeans and a t-shirt, especially some fitted jeans with holes all over, and then you buy a Balenciaga t-shirt
and you're good to go.
And you're done, and that's dressed because I have a $1,000 t-shirt on.
You got the logo.
And again, it's going back to my point where why are we so if it's a brand, and so you're willing to drop $1,000 on a branded basic t-shirt with holes in it, but you will not drop $500 for a basic nice fitted suit.
Exactly.
Why? What is wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
But then on that note, then what we're saying is that the suit should always be the go-to.
Yes. Maybe because that is the primary part of my brand. But I have never seen a man in a suit
that doesn't look the part.
That doesn't look the part, whatever part it is.
Unless it's not a proper fitted suit. Because I have seen men who I'm not
talking about the going to court suit. I'm not talking about that.
Not the one you had to borrow from your dad or your older brother to show up for a thing. But if you were in a proper fitting,
how to fit themselves.
That's the number one thing I see in my business. A lot of guys, they come in and they're like, I want this suit and I want it to fit this way, and I'm like, but that's not your body type.
Yeah.
So that can't fit you that way.
Right.
So let's how about we just make it fit you properly and look good on you.
I want my pants really tapered and really skinny. But dude, you're 6'4", 250 pounds, 300 pounds. It's not gonna suit you.
It looks odd.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of guys run away from suits, because they don't know how to fit a suit properly, and when they see it on somebody else, they know it looks good. But then they want to emulate that exact look, and it's like you're an individual. Like anything else, your suit should fit you for your body type and structure. There's different lapels, just the whole construction of a suit should be based on your body type.
And it's such an intimate process.
It is an intimate, especially if you're doing custom, make to measure, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You can really personalize it and make it your own. And again, that's why when I say a suit, I'm not necessarily saying what your banker wears or your accountant wears, but you can do a variation of that. That speaks to your personality, that has the pop, whether it's the lining, the way you do the lapels. There's so many variations that can be done. My whole point again is about presenting yourself in the best way possible, that universally people automatically go, all right, who's this person? Versus, let me get my purse a little bit closer to me because I don't know what this person is about. And too many of us run around like that. I make money, I don't have to dress to impress anybody. How about you dress to impress yourself? How about let's start with
What about you?
How about you? How do you feel? Because, and again, because my business is not just about suits, a lot of guys lack the confidence to wear it too. They're like, I feel like people are going to look at me a certain way. You're scared of being looked at positively? I don't understand.
I'm not understanding.
I'm confused.
Who's your biggest clientele? Like market? Like is it the banker? Is it the lawyer? Is it that corporate guy? Like who do you find it comes to you?
It varies with me because a lot of guys like flavor, and what I do, a lot of what I do is about flavor. Yeah, I have floral pants, I have jackets that are crazy, and I can do the usual corporate stuff. They come to me because I understand that a wardrobe should be varied. I would never tell anybody you should never wear jeans. I personally very rarely wear jeans, but jeans can look good if you buy proper fitting jeans, preferably without holes. I have a real problem with holes in clothing. Unless the arm or head is going through it, I don't get it. Like, why? So, excuse me.
And going back to your point for the whole you dress men and they need to feel positive and have that self respect. Now I may be becoming very unpopular now with what I'm going to say next, but
this is the most exciting part of the podcast.
She becomes so popular?
Yeah. Because when she says stuff that just flows out with really it's the best.
Over the top.
And they make good sound bites.
Let me take a sip.
Cheers, guys. Cheers to what's about to come. Cheers to what's about to come. All right, bring it out, Rashi.
I feel men are going through what women are still going through, which is that lack of self-confidence. They like all you see is this whole love yourself and be positive and smile. It's all about like butterflies and rainbows and all that bullshit, and that's great. That is one part of life. But now, as a guy, I feel that they've entered this complex where it's like, we know we suck right now. We don't want to go and get the help that we need.
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
Yeah.
I'm not going to repeat that.
Yeah. No, but you're making a great case point. I mean, men are as insecure, if not more insecure, than women.
110%.
We have the same body angst. We have the same. Do we look good enough? Are we good enough? Even more so now. I'm telling you, a lot of the guys that I work with are. When you hear some of the things that they worry about, I was like, wow,
and they don't want to go get that help, and they still feel that they need to be the man. Well, right?
We've been trained and processed, I like to call it, to be fair, a certain way. But
again, we are in
a
culture that now, if we are changing so many things, and if women are doing and again, this is not a gender issue per se, but I'm just
it's a human issue. It really
is. We have.
One of the things you mentioned is that it's more so prevalent with men now than it was in the past. What do you think brought that on?
I think the fact that part of it, yes, is social media, because you have access to it, and I think also because everybody can voice their views and their opinions, and no one cares anymore, right? It's like people don't want to hear the truth now. We've somehow got into this generation where we have to say only nice things to each other. If not, it's like, actually, oh my God.
Well, have you been on Instagram recently? Those comments are not nice. On any one of those
I think we've gone.
I think it's the opposite.
I think that's what's out there, but because of that, people are being nastier.
But see,
I think that's the driver.
No. But here's the thing: on social media, we can be nasty because we are behind the screen.
Yeah, you're hitting.
That's what I mean.
Now, let's say if we three were actually having this conversation, and I post a picture of a dress. Now you give me your honest thing and say, Rashi, no, girl, what were you wearing?
Right.
If in real life, if I was somebody else, I would go cry in the bathroom and be like, oh my God, he hates my dress. Versus being like, how do I look at this in a positive way. And men are going through that same thing.
Which is why we run around looking like clones.
Exactly.
Like, we literally moat the vast majority of it.
But then going on social media, because we can be nasty, that still stems up that insecure feeling. And
putting on others.
But I think that's also where some of those trends stem from, like you were just talking about, the ripped jeans, the oversized T-shirts, the big logos. It's because you see it. Okay, well, I'm being bashed for the way I'm dressing, but every Instagram post I'm seeing is, well, it's the guy with the ripped jeans who's standing in that weird pose with the Yeezys on.
So I gotta buy those same 33K followers, and now that's cool. But that's like, who cares? Like, do you know this person?
Right.
That's my biggest question with this entire thing.
Are their bills being paid, or
exactly.
Well, that's just it, right? Like, is that reality or not? So what is, okay, so I know you said part of the thing of being a gentleman is dressing a certain way.
Yeah.
But what is being a gentleman to you?
The dressing is
That's your first
that's on top.
Well, it's also your first impression.
Yes. So visually you want to present the best version of yourself, assuming that you're doing all the other work of being showing empathy and being considerate and every day improving yourself in ways, being mindful of your community and the energy that you're putting out there. What you put on top of that in terms of the clothing should be an extension of what you're already feeling inside, which is why I say for my process, I basically interrogate everybody that comes in for a suit from me. Why do you want a suit? What are you wearing it for? What's your lifestyle?
What's the
generally?
usage?
And I get into those kind of things because I want, it's a creative process for me anyways. And I don't just, you come in and you bring up a picture of Ryan Reynolds, for example, and you have a Jim Belushi body. I don't know what you want me to do with you.
Can't help you, my friend.
So are you making this for somebody else? Because this is not your flavor. The color is wrong. The style of the suit is wrong.
Your skin tones, your body type,
so
all that stuff.
What are you trying to project that this picture spoke to you about? And then I get deeper into that, and then you have a whole different conversation, and then we can now create a suit for you that is about the messaging you're trying to send out.
So I think you truly, like, I mean, as a designer and as a stylist, like, you truly understand that it's not just a piece of article, like an article of clothing on your body.
If you just want to buy an article of clothing,
you can go to Winners and get it. Nothing against Winners. I'm just saying.
I won't bash Winners, but
I'm saying, but you can.
But you could just go buy something off the rack, off any rack, and just put it on, and away you go.
Yeah.
If you're going to come to me for whether it's made to measure or whatever, custom. It tells me that you want something specific to you. Yeah. So it shouldn't just be a carbon copy of just something you see. You can get an idea and an inspiration from a movie or whatever it is. But when you come to me or go to anybody and there's terrific tailors and designers in the city, it should be to convey a message. Your message, not just some general message. I'm getting married, I want a tuxedo. Well, what kind of tuxedo?
Yeah,
there's
what does that mean?
Variations, there's different style. What's the vibe of your wedding? I ask so many questions. Sometimes they're looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, do you really need all that information? But it's a creative process for me.
Yeah.
And
you're taking a blank canvas, like a painting, and you're the Picasso.
I'm dressing it up.
Yeah.
And again, I'm all about being on message, and it's not about a fake message. It's what is it you're trying to say when you put this stuff on. Every time I get dressed in the morning, it's about my mood and what it is I want to send out that day. And there's different ways to do that. Whether it's my color, what I put on in terms of a shirt, do I wear a tie? Am I wearing how many accessories I'm wearing? All this stuff goes through my head in seconds because I live it daily.
You're living that moment.
But I find a lot of guys don't do that. They get up and they have a routine of dress. They have about 50 different
This is my Monday outfit. This is my Tuesday outfit.
These are jeans. If I throw on a suit, it's this navy blue suit that I bought 3 years ago. It doesn't really fit me properly because I got it from some place that you shouldn't be buying suits from. So
hashtag not winners.
We don't pay enough attention to our messaging, and we want to do the safe, comfortable thing. And I'm talking specifically about men, in that we just want to. That's what the latest rapper, basketball star, football player is wearing. I'm just going to put that on because people will automatically make an association between us.
I'm cool.
Yeah, and I'd rather be unseen. No, it's not even about being cool. They don't want to be seen. It's almost like putting on an invisible cape because everybody looks like everybody.
And that's really sad.
It is extremely sad.
It's very, very sad.
Extremely sad.
It's like a bunch of clones walking
around.
I'm thinking about the movie iRobot. Like, you know what I mean? It's just
That's
a bunch
exactly
of
what
robots
it is.
walking down.
That's exactly what
I'm
it is.
actually thinking about this conversation that like a week ago, my girlfriends and I, we were just like chatting, and all of us were complaining about the lack of quality of men that is here in Toronto.
Right.
Again.
Why are we bashing them?
I'm not bashing men.
Dressing sense is very different than bashing guys altogether.
But to my point is that
That's a different. Yeah. I need to drink some more wine for this conversation.
But one of the things is that no guy stands out. And then going back to your point,
except for Kassius.
There's a few of us. There's quite a few.
They're either gay or taken, but
again, so I usually say this in every podcast. I don't know if you've heard any of ours, but there's no opinions at all here.
Right.
But like you said, it's like how you feel on the inside is what you have on the outside. So if all these guys are trying not to be seen, then again, who are you as a person? And then which is why it goes back to our statement on that, where it's because now it's not only about what you dress and wear. Like you said, it's who you are, who you're with, what are your goals, right? Now everything plays, and I just find it funny. Like we're in this whole like self-care, and we need to like take care of our soul and all that bullshit, and you cannot even dress well. Like what the hell?
But that's why I strongly believe it has to be a process. It has to be where you're taking care of yourself mentally, because
that's step one. That's step one.
Exactly.
You can look as good as you want, but if there's other internal issues, you got to take care of them.
You got to take care of it, and that's really what it comes down to. Because you project who you are, or you hide behind what you feel you lack, which is why, again, I have young cousins, and I see them sometimes, and I'm like, what
boggles your mind?
Why do you all? I'm like, which one of you is which? Because I can put you all in a mock shape, you around the same stupid haircut, the same jeans, the same color, everything. I'm like, I know when I was growing up, I had to stand out.
That's every kid. Every kid.
I had to stand out. Like when I was young, I didn't want to look like anybody. If any of my friends dressed the way I did, I would cut it out and start over the next day.
Right.
So to watch a generation now that just all want to look alike, all talk alike, it breaks my heart.
Mine too.
Individuality seems to be a thing of the past, and they all want to yell how they're an individual. Well, how about you express that? How do you express that? You all sound alike, talk alike, look alike.
So I'm gonna touch on that for a second, but I'm gonna bring it back to your
Sure.
A lot of people think, and you touched on it a little bit, but I want you to really specify in your branding. A suit is a suit is a suit. You can go get a custom-made suit from this person, from that brand, from whatever the case.
Right.
What is your thought on what makes your branding different and unique from that perspective? Because a suit is not just a suit.
Yeah, a suit is not a suit.
You know, like one person can custom tailor it one way, and we know all that. But what does that mean to you? Because a lot of people just don't grasp that.
Right.
It's such an important factor.
It's expression. To me. I keep saying it's messaging.
Yeah.
And being on brand, and even as human beings, you don't see a bad Mercedes commercial. You don't see Mercedes saying use us as an Uber, for example. Yeah. I'm sure they would hate that. Yeah. That's not a part of their branding. And as human beings, we don't do that. Not all the time. Most of us don't. One day we're a Mercedes, and the next day we're like a Honda.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm talking about a beat down Honda.
Yeah, no, of course.
And we call it our relaxed day.
The 86 beige Accord.
or a Prelude that is not even
the Prelude. Remember the Prelude with a beat up system inside.
Right? That was one of my favorite first cars. So leave the Preludes alone.
It was one of my favorites back in the day too.
But my point is, we don't see our branding, our messaging as individuals as being important.
Right.
We leave it aside. We chase money, but we don't chase character, which is part of what decides how we present ourselves. And I think if we spend more time doing the work as who we are as individuals and what we want to put out in the community, then our clothing and our dressing would follow suit. And that's really...
No pun intended.
That's a good pun. I might have to use that in a campaign. But that's when I create a suit, again, it's not just come in and order a suit from me. I don't approach it from that perspective. That gives me no satisfaction. Then I might as well just be a suit salesperson that varies without worrying about the overall business. But for me, it's a process of what are you trying to say with this particular suit? And every suit has a story. And like when I do closet overhauls or a guy comes to me and says I need a whole wardrobe makeover, but I want to look like this guy, and I'm like, well, I can't make you that guy. God already got him, so he's doing that.
Exactly.
Let's make you look like you.
Let's do you, and then I when I'm going through the closet, I'm like, what I want to keep this. Well, why? What's the story here? And if the story is not a compelling or good story, it's gone.
Right.
Throw it out. Our clothing and the way we present should tell a story from across the room. I don't know a human being that walks into a party, an event, and looks for the worst dressed person or the most slumpy looking person and tries to talk to them. I don't know anybody like that.
Yeah.
You gravitate to the person that you find them interesting, the way they present. If they look confident, you automatically think that person must be important. That person must have good messaging, and you somehow find yourself
automatically speaks to your branding.
You want to be in that circle. You don't look for the worst dressed circle in the room and go stand anywhere near them. You actually will avoid them. So I don't understand how that doesn't translate in your everyday approach to dressing and everything else, which again is why. So
now, are we talking about worst dressed from the standpoint of perception, or worst dressed because that's actually just a shitty outfit?
Both.
Because and going back to my point that fashion or style is subjective.
Right.
You know, what you may believe style should be on a gentleman is very different than, you know, for example, a designer who fully focuses on casual wear, who believes that ripped jeans should be a part of your, you know, it's a possibility.
If that's what you're selling, that's what you're selling.
Right?
Of course,
but again,
the belief system.
I'm talking about the subjectiveness of what style is.
Yeah.
And what's your thoughts on that?
For me, again, casual clothing can't be something you wear out to an event. It's casual clothing. Right. So you can schlep
is fine. Hey,
sell casual clothing all you want and present it in any way you want to. You know, you see celebrities running around in casual stuff, and it's not. And they have the luxury of doing that because they have a brand.
Exactly.
Their brand is already out there.
Supersedes the clothing. That's what I wanted you to get to.
Yeah.
The average us can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, whenever a person's like, well, look at Kanye and look at an NBA.
But look at Kanye. Like, you're not Kanye.
How many million do you have in the bank?
Yeah.
What does your name alone, does just your first name open doors and make people stop and give you stuff? Because until that point, you better be playing the part that the rest of us are playing.
Yeah.
As much as you want to be.
What do you know that we don't know about? You're able to do that, and I'm not.
I'm sorry. You know?
I mean, not that you would in that scenario, but
absolutely, that's the key
But I
to
mean,
it.
yes, style is to some extent subjective.
Right.
And I am with you on this whole thing. Yeah, it's one thing to have that style is, you know, your each sense and all that stuff. That is one part of it.
Right.
But I think what's going on is that people are taking that one statement very blindly and
way too open.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you said, at an event, you have to dress nicely. Do not show up in ripped clothing, for example.
It's
right?
Because you see, and we've gone so far away from the community mindset. When you arrive at an event appropriately dressed, it shows respect for everybody else that's there.
Absolutely.
And the event organizer.
Right. So it's
and for yourself.
And you can be an individual. So you don't have to conform because, like I said, I don't have a tuxedo that looks like any traditional tuxedo. All my tuxedos have a flair that says, "Oh, that's Kassius." Only Kassius can wear that or would wear that. But it's within the realm of what it is. Like, you know, all right, it doesn't look like the traditional penguin suit, but that's dope.
Yeah.
He cares. He's presenting.
He's put the time and effort into it.
You have to care about yourself, I think, and I feel that is what is lacking. Like I will never go to a grocery store, to a Walmart even, or anywhere in sweatpants. I don't leave my house in sweatpants.
Hey, I got joggers. I love my joggers.
No. Unless I'm going to the
They're
gym,
not ripped, I promise you. They're not ripped.
Unless it's that, you will never see me outside my house, even going to down the street in sweatpants. And you know, and coming back to your point, and this is something that stuck with me years ago. Growing up, and I still do, I love to dress up.
Right.
Like, I love dressing up, I love being glam, all those things. And every time anybody has seen me, they've seen me dressed up.
Right.
And once this family friend's daughter, she came over unannounced, which is fine. But I was literally in my PJs, no makeup, haircut, and she said, I've never seen you unglamorous ever. And even now when she sees me, she's like, who? But that is who I am. And I like to dress
and that's
well.
what you should, always present.
Sorry, we got to pause for 1 second.
Hey guys, we're taking a quick break just to remind you where you can find our podcast online.
You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Tunes.
Apple Music, or you call it Apple Tunes.
Whatever.
Right. You can also find us on TuneIn, on Google Play, and of course Instagram when we do it the first Tuesday of every month.
And Facebook, here and there.
Here and there.
Here and there.
So thanks for tuning in, and now back to our podcast.
Sorry.
I think you should always be presenting your best self.
All the time.
And I don't, there's a mindset that makes you somehow superficial, and I'm like, you can call me whatever you like.
No.
Yeah.
But you're always going to get me presenting my best self because that's what I'm trying to live. And if I'm trying to live that, then I should always be projecting that.
Absolutely.
I don't project
in every which
that.
way, every aspect of your life.
Every aspect. I'm trying to be a better friend, a better brother, a better son, a better everything that I'm doing. And therefore, what I wear on the outside, my uniform, is going to send that message.
I've heard that term a couple of times on our podcast because it's a uniform that represents your brand.
It represents who you are. And again, messaging. What are you sending out there? When I walk around, this is what I want you to first get. So anything else that, and I'm hoping that when you then speak to me, it jives, everything comes together. If it doesn't, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
Because we do have guys that dress the part and lack a soul and lack the gentlemanly qualities that go with that. That's not what I'm selling, which is why I'm not
the
saying
quote-unquote douchebag. But what's okay? I want to ask you about that because a lot of guys, or a lot of people, not guys, but a lot of people are like, hey, if you're dressed perfectly, you have that nice appearance, you got the perfectly cut suit, fits your body style, you're automatically considered the douchebag.
Yeah. You see,
why?
Because
what about that makes it douchebag?
A lot of guys didn't do the work of building who they are, so they follow a caricature, that is out there. Think of the movie I always like to reference is the one with Matthew McConaughey and Leonardo DiCaprio when they played the Wall Street guys.
Oh.
Yes. Now I'm drawing a blank on the name.
Yeah.
Nav, you have a name?
Wall Street.
Wolf of
Wall Street.
Thank you, Nav.
Complete douchebaggery.
Right.
It was the 80s, and most of those guys were douchebags. They were making a lot of money, but they had no soul. They had no character. Everything was about how much money can I take and how much money can I make. Plus, they were all high on coke. So respecting women, respecting themselves, respecting the people around them was irrelevant.
None of that happened.
It was all about I'm buying an Armani suit. I'm driving a nice car. I'm selling the lifestyle versus the content of character. And what for me and what my brand represents is making character content and what you present unified, and it should all be positive.
Right.
It should all be about respecting women, not yanking on women when you're trying to get their attention, not disrespecting your friend, not doing anything.
Being
just
a real
to make
gentleman through and through.
It's about being respectful of the community that you're a part of.
Yeah.
Contributing to it, not just looking for ways to take from it in whatever form that looks like. And if the more you live that, then your uniform then becomes a true representation of you.
I want you to put your Mr. Kaizen hat aside for a second.
Sure.
And because obviously you represent your brand, I've seen a lot of your outfits.
Yeah.
They're gorgeous.
Thank you.
Been to your fashion shows, so really cool stuff. But talk to me about a branded suit.
Right.
Like you mentioned Armani, your Calvin Klein's, whatever the brand is, versus a non-branded suit, and what are people paying for?
There are some that are worth the money.
We won't talk about the brands.
Yeah,
We're talking generalities.
In generalities, a majority of the brands are not worth the money because what it's made from.
You're talking about the quality of the cloth.
The quality of the cloth. Yeah. There's only a certain number of factories. So then it becomes down to design and certain little details that everybody puts on. But if you're really making a suit, an unbranded suit, again, fit is the number one thing.
That's be the messaging over and over.
Fit.
What is true? I'm not disagreeing.
And if you're buying something off the rack, I'm sorry, it's just unless you are built a certain way with a 40-inch chest that is exactly that, 31 waist, which is exactly that. Most off the brand, I can't buy off the rack. My body is not built for that, and I know a lot of my clients are the same thing. To me, most branded suits, no matter how big the name is, still will never fit you properly unless you're getting it custom. So you can be wearing Tom Ford, which is one of my favorite personal brands.
Sure.
But unless you're getting a custom Tom-made suit, Tom Ford, if you're buying off the rack,
it's not going to fit you right.
It's not going to fit you right. You're going to have to kill out a bunch of money on alterations to make it right. And then to me, that just ruins the whole experience.
I've seen too many people in the office, they'll go to the sale at a major department store because they got, the Tom Fords or the Ralph Lauren's or whatever. I mean, again, nothing against these brands because I think they do have good suits.
They made
and then they come into the office with these suits on. But what did you pay for, man?
Yeah, and it looked like you bought a suit on sale.
Yeah,
that's what it looked like.
What are you wearing? What is that outfit?
Right.
Yeah. So we're cutting close on the time. Yeah. I'm gonna do a quick rapid fire question. Sure. We're gonna do 5 questions. If you have any, I got a couple. If you have any, you can throw them in.
Go start.
Talk to me about your thoughts on the length of a pant. The hemming on the not the tapering, but the hemming on the pant where it sits on the shoe.
Where it is from your ankle to your shoe. Yeah. Again, it varies. It depends on what the occasion is that you're wearing the pant to.
Yeah.
During the summertime, obviously, you can go a little bit lower. I have some that
or a little bit higher. Yeah.
A little bit higher. I don't like a break in my pants personally. But it all depends on who you are, your height, your body type. All those things are factors. I don't think if you're a bigger body person, the shorter pant looks good on you. Avoid that because then it emphasizes, it shortens the silhouette. And
sometimes even a short guy.
There's certain things.
I do it sometimes, but
yeah. So again, whenever with everything to do with style, make sure it's appropriate to your body because not all trends or styles are for every body type. So that's my thoughts.
When is the 3-piece suit appropriate?
Every day.
Okay.
Love that. Love that.
Every day. And most of my suits are 3 pieces so that I can choose when I wear them.
When you want to add the best, not
yeah. So the best thing to do is to make it the fabric seasonal. So if you're in a 3-piece during the summertime, it should have a little bit of linen or a lighter wool or cotton so that you can breathe and you're not sweating your ass off.
It out. Yeah. Cufflinks. When should you use them? When should you not use them?
Every day. In my case, I'm very rarely without cufflinks because I love cufflinks. Yeah. But it is a dressier look. So if you have a special occasion, if it's your anniversary dinner, that kind of thing, a black tie event, I think you should definitely be in a French cuff shirt for a black tie event. Again, for me, it's a daily wear, but for the average person, I can see where you just relegate French cuff to, and a lot of people like to say French cuff are out of style, or the double-breasted jacket is out of style.
That's crazy talk.
Well, baloney.
Your favorite accessory?
Cufflinks. You know what? No, that's a lie. I'm never without beads.
Your bracelets?
My bracelets. I'm never without them. So I would have to say my bracelets.
And one of your favorite things to put as a detail item on a suit that you're building?
As a detail item?
Yeah, like something that like differentiated, without giving it the pop.
In all my suits, because I'm a cigar smoker, so all of them have a cigar pocket.
Oh, that's really cool.
That's very interesting.
And a lot of people don't notice it until I point it out to them. I'm like, yeah, by the way, you got a little cigar hole there. Some guys just put pens in there, but it's there for that purpose.
That's quite unique.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about some of your socials. Where do people find you online? How can they get in touch with you? Where are you located? All that good stuff.
Yeah, well, my shop is located at 87 Cumberland Street in Yorkville.
Perfect spot.
Yeah, well, it's working for me so far. Let's keep our fingers crossed it keeps working. My personal IG is I am Kassius. The brand IG is Meet Mr. Kaizen.
That's true, yes.
Yeah, and the website is www.meetmrkaizen.com. I write for Swagger Magazine, so you can find me on there. View the Vibe, you can find me on there.
Sure.
And yeah, just go to the website and call up the number or send me a direct message. I love getting direct messages.
Yes, you get mine all the time.
You're not looking for a suit per se.
She sends me names of guys. Like, hit up this guy and try to get him in a suit for me.
Yeah. She's hounding you for outfits for fashion shows.
There you go.
So Kassius, listen, man. Thank you for joining us on the Elevated Grapes podcast.
This was fun. This was a pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me.
We like to hear perspectives of people in the industry.
Right.
What motivates them? What do they feel is right for a gentleman to be wearing in every different circumstance? And the good thing is that, or so the interesting thing is that you're gonna get different perspectives.
Of course.
Right. And
course.
Different people have different mindsets. And that's why I love these kind of conversations. Because you don't know what's going to come to the table when someone sits on that microphone.
And I don't think anybody should sit and say, this is absolutely the right thing to do. Again, it's just my perspective.
Absolutely.
And this is how I think you should conduct yourself. So there you go.
So guys, you heard it there. You can hit up Mr. Kaizen. Is there something you'd like to finish with?
I would like to finish with something.
So usually we end with a Rashi opinion. Yeah, it doesn't end without a Rashi opinion.
No, there's no.
What do you mean? Go ahead.
All I'm going to leave all the wonderful men who are listening is that one, please follow this guy. He's actually awesome. I have worked with him, so I know how wonderful he is. Two, men, please don't suck. Please step it up.
Don't suck.
Okay, listen, there are people, guys and girls.
On the description of the podcast, we're going to put the definition of suck and what it means to suck.
Right.
All I'm saying is stop hiding. There are guys, if you're gay, and that's your call, and there are women who now are looking for quality men, and that comes from the heart, the soul, and not wearing, Kanye's clothing. So please, definitely step it up now, guys. Come on. There you go.
Okay. So now that we're going to get in trouble for this podcast.
Kanye, the Kardashians are coming for us.
Yeah,
Bring it on.
We're going to have a podcast with the Kardashians and Rashi. I'm going to watch. I'm not going to take part in that conversation. So Kassius, thank you once again.
Thank you.
Really appreciate being here.
Thank you. This is fun. Great wine.
And hopefully what we're going to do, we're going to bring him back in.
Yeah.
But next time we do it, we're going to actually have him talk about specifics to body style. We'll ask him to bring in a couple of styles, and then we'll actually showcase different body styles.
We should do it at his store.
Yeah,
his space is awesome. If he's okay with it, his space is awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you just volunteered him. So.
That Rashi just said it.
Yeah, Rashi just said it.
It's happening.
So we'll go there and we'll just do a body style sort of conversation about the way a suit should be worn for a shorter guy, a taller guy, a little bit of heftier guy, that kind of scenario.
Athletic build, all of it is different.
Yeah, we'll go through some of that. Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you,
All
guys.
right, cheers.
This
Thanks
was
again for
fun.
listening to the Elevated Grapes podcast, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Cheers.
Hey guys, thank you for watching that podcast or that video. If you like what you hear and you want to hear more of us and see some of our behind the scenes stuff, subscribe below.
Yes, hit that little red button thingy that's over there and hit subscribe and keep following us for a lot more cool fun stuff.
Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you soon.